Now, you see all these beautiful hair transplants online. You look at the before and after pictures, they look beautiful, and you keep saying, wow. But let me tell you something, that's not how it is behind the scenes. Some hair transplants can be very difficult. So, if you're thinking about a hair transplant, your case might be just that difficult case that your hair transplant surgeon might not tell you, but you notice he might be pacing up and down, like, saying, what is this? What is this? And just be struggling, but they won't tell you. But here at Havila Hair Restoration, nothing is off limits. But your hair transplant might just be that one difficult case. But let me tell you something, I had one case that was tough that I almost quit. I almost quit on my client. No, I'm not going to lie to you. Nothing is off limits here. We are going to say it. That I almost gave up on my client. Now, if you're about to go for a hair transplant, I want you to understand, and I'm going to give you the reasons why your case might be difficult. But you have to listen to the end. Now, you cannot just run with just the first point, or the second point, or the third one, or the fourth one. You have to listen to the end and make sure you check all those boxes. If you check all those boxes, yes, your case will be difficult. And if it's going to be difficult, I'm also going to give you the solution on what to do. So if this is you dealing with hair loss and you've been thinking about a hair transplant, saying, hey, I think it's time for a hair transplant, I don't want to think about it anymore, all you just need to do is very simple. Make an appointment with us. Someone from my team will get in touch with you. We offer free virtual appointments 7 days a week. Now, if you say you're busy on Monday, you can make it on Tuesday. If you say you're busy on Tuesday, you can make it for Wednesday. If you're busy on Wednesday, Thursday. If you're busy on Thursday, Sunday, Saturday, sitting at home, you can make the appointment. Somebody from my team will get in touch with you and talk to you and, formulate a good action plan for you when it comes to your hair regrowth journey. So anyways, like I was talking about this case that was so difficult that I almost quit on my client. But now I am taking all my experience and I'm going to show you or explain to you 5 simple ways for you to know that your case might be that difficult one. Most hair transplant surgeons won't tell you, but there's nothing that's off limits right here, because my goal is to teach you simple tips and tricks on what to do to have a successful hair transplant. I want you to understand that hair transplant is only part of it. The actual procedure is only 50%. The other 50% comes from you knowing what to do. So that's my goal, for you to know what to do. So 5 ways to know that you will be that difficult case. Yes, you will be that difficult case. Number 1 is your hair type. Yeah, your hair type. We have different types of hair, from type 1 to type 4. From straight to curly to kinky. Why do I say that? The more kinky it is or the more curly it is, sometimes the more difficult it is, because underneath the scalp, the skin, your hair is also a little bit curly. And what happens is that if you do not go to a trained hair transplant surgeon that is well versed in curly, kinky hair, you will have a big problem. Yes, remember I said, I just don't want you to check one box. You have to check all the boxes of what I'm going to talk about for you to know you have a difficult case. So number 1 is your type of hair. Curly, the curly it is. If it's kinky, there's a problem, but it's not a big problem yet. So number 2 is thickness of your scalp. The scalp is a skin. So you can have thin skin, medium scalp skin, and thick scalp skin. So imagine if you have curly, kinky hair in addition to thick skin. And there are ways for us to know a client has thick skin. And that's going to be my next video about how to know if you have thick or thin or medium skin, scalp skin. So imagine if you have that. Well, how do you prevent that? You go to a licensed hair transplant surgeon. I always talk about ishrs.org and look for a hair transplant surgeon that has been trained and see if they know or they're well versed in taking care of afro curly or curly kinky hair, Or you can actually make an appointment with us at Havila Hair Restoration. That's all we see all day, every time, you know. Make an appointment with us at Havila Hair Restoration. Somebody from my team will get in touch with you. So this takes me to my number 3 point. How do you know if you're going to have a difficult case? Yes. Don't say it cannot be me. Yes, it can be you, especially if you already checked box number 1, box number 2. Now we're coming to box number 3. So number 3, if you have scarring alopecia, I know everybody hears that, you expect that. But it's not just as easy as I'm saying it. Now the problem with scarring alopecia is you have to get on the right medication to control the inflammation. And once you control it and you decide to go for a hair transplant, it also can be a gamble, you see, because there's a lot of scar tissue. There's problem with blood flow, blood supply to the area of hair loss. Now, what your hair transplant surgeon is not telling you is that they're also having sleepless nights. Like they're checking up on you. They're praying that that hair transplant will be successful. Even after the hair transplant, they're praying that the hair is going to grow, especially if the patient or the client is not doing what they're supposed to do in taking their medication, doing all they're supposed to do. Because what? You have high chances of that hair transplant to fail. Remember, that person might have thick skin, curly skin, and now there's scarring alopecia. That's what? You're checking all the boxes. And after the hair transplant, after the difficult hair transplant, they are praying for that hair to grow. So you have to know there's a problem, my sister. There's a problem. But remember, what's the solution, as I always say? Go to an experienced hair transplant surgeon. They have to know what they're doing. And this leads me to my point number 4. Let's say you're on a blood thinner or you're on one of those herbal medication that can cause you to bleed more, or you take Motrin or Advil and your doctor told you not to take all this medication before your hair transplant and you still went ahead and took all this medication not listening. Guess what? You're going to bleed more. And what happens when you bleed? The hair transplant procedure becomes more difficult because there's a lot of blood and it obscures your, visibility on getting good grafts and all that. But still, there are ways around it. But this can make a hair transplant procedure difficult or prolong the process. And now my final point and what can cause a very difficult hair transplant case. Your donor area. What is a donor area? Donor area is the area where we extract the grafts from to transplant to the area of hair loss. So there are so many donor areas that we can get hair grafts from. The most common place is back right here, your beards, especially for men, chest hair for men, your arms. So it depends on where the grafts were taken from. Now the problem is when you are promised 5,000 grafts and you don't have enough supply from the main donor area, and now the hair transplant surgeon decides to go to your arm or to your legs. Maybe you don't have enough hair on your chest. Now he decides to go to your arm or your legs. The hair on our arms and legs are very fragile. See? So you might have a lot of transection. That means you might have a lot of bad grafts that will cut during extraction. Okay? And that can make the process difficult or prolonged. So if this is you trying to go for a hair transplant and you're being promised 5,000 grafts, 6,000 grafts, you need to ask the question, where will the grafts be taken from? Where is my donor area? Are you going to get all my grafts from the back of my head or from my chest wall or from my beards or from my arms or from my legs? So all this discussion you need to know. And I mean, based on your discussion, you'll be able to make a more informed decision. So you see the different types of things that can cause you to have a difficult hair transplant procedure. So these are the things we go over when you come for your scalp and your hair evaluation. These are the things we look out for to make the right decision for you. So in summary of what I've said, ways that you will know that you might be one of those people that will have a very difficult case when it comes to hair transplant. So number 1 is your hair type. Number 2 is the thickness of your scalp skin. Number 3, if you have any form of inflammation or you have scarring alopecia. Number 4 is the medications you're taking. And finally, number 5 is the location of your donor area, okay, where they'll be getting the graft from. So if this is you, you've checked all those boxes, please reach out to me. Reach out, make that appointment, and somebody from my team will get in touch with you. Now, don't be scared. If you know someone that's about to go for a hair transplant, send them this video. Or if it's you thinking about a hair transplant and you check all these boxes, reach out. And if you've loved this video, I promise you, like I can guarantee you that you're going to love every of my video on YouTube. Head over to YouTube. YouTube name is Dr. Ichefu and watch all my videos. Until next time, bye-bye.